Now our final speaker is Sue Bolton, who's Councillor Sue Bolton, founder of the Moreland Community Against the Tunnel, also the Socialist Alliance, and as I said, Sue has been at the backbone in supporting the community-based campaign in Moreland. And Sue will talk about... Sue will be talking about the implications for Moreland and where to from here.
Hi. Well, I think one of the things the government's trying to do with its flash advertising campaign is pit inner and outer suburban people against each other. And in fact, the ads are totally misleading. They're very slick. It creates the impression... Well, in fact, they tried to make the government sound like a public transport government. Now, I don't know. I haven't been campaigning everywhere, so I don't know to what extent people across all of Melbourne are cynical about the advertisements or maybe sucked in by the advertisements, but there's a huge advertising campaign out there to try and make it sound like the government is doing so much for public transport, and also the East-West link. You know, you see one car zooming along as if they've got the whole road by themselves. It's like quite flash. And there is an attempt to pit people, different residents in different parts of the city against each other. And I think, because they definitely do hope to try and sneak this project past people. And, in Moreland also, people's experience of this project is different depending on where you are in Moreland. Certainly people in the south of Moreland, in Brunswick area, are much more conscious of the implications of this project than a lot of residents in the north of Moreland, where, it's a faraway project, and a lot of people are quite hazy about the details. And in fact, across the city, there's a lot of people who are very hazy about what the East-West link is all about, and that's what the government's relying on to ram this project through with the help of its advertising campaign. And I actually live in the north of Moreland. I don't live in Brunswick. I live in Glenroy. But this project affects everybody. And in fact, it actually even affects country people. And I heard a talk by someone from the Rail Revival Alliance in Geelong the other week, and they're campaigning for a new train line between Geelong and Bendigo. Some of these train lines, part of the train line already exists, but it was ripped up under the Kennett government. So we've got all this public transport infrastructure that was ripped up by a succession of Liberal and Labor governments at different points in time. We haven't had, apart from the regional rail project at the moment, we haven't had serious public transport investment in decades. And Australia followed the direction of Los Angeles, of destroying, and even after the big earthquake, they never built a Met system. Australia followed that by getting rid of the trams and trying to, limiting the train service and so forth. So now we're at a point in Australia where, and it's not just Melbourne, it's all over Australia, it's every major city, where we really need to make a choice. Because there's only a finite amount of land in each city. So there's only so many cars you can fit on the space in a particular city. And I've been to Kolkata, and I no doubt there's other cities like this as well, where it's like a permanent parking lot. Everywhere you move forward inch by inch, and it's like those days when there's a big storm, the lights go out, traffic lights go out at a major city intersection, and so everyone's battling everybody else. That's what Kolkata's like, and that's what it is like starting to get like in parts of Melbourne. And it's not just Brunswick. This is going to affect everybody everywhere. It will have an impact in the north. It has an impact all over the place. But we also already know through much evidence that all you do with new tollways and freeways is you shift the traffic jam from this point to that point. You don't get rid of the traffic jam. And this new announcement of the government of a full interchange where Brunswick Road changes its name to Ormond Road. So this will affect the Moonee Valley and Moreland councils. So this doesn't speak so much to the link itself, but it's, people will be zooming down the toll roads that everyone's forced to go onto through, trying to make it difficult to travel any other way. And it'll take you automatically through a tunnel, perhaps underneath where you want to go to, if you want to go to Carlton or other parts. So cars that are zooming down there that want to go to Carlton, there will be a massive traffic jam along Brunswick Road and then all through those little tiny ancient streets in Brunswick where you can only fit one car down the middle of. So we need to start serious investment in public transport. The ads and the budget, the government's talking up their public transport credentials. The public transport that they're talking about funding, it's only a little tiny bit of funding years in advance. And we all know that state election after state election, the various major parties promise the same project over and over again. The campaign has been quite extraordinary so far, and I'm glad to hear Mike give the description about the whole genesis of Tunnel Picket. I think there have been a range of different groups following different sorts of strategies, but the groups have come together in a coalition of groups which organised a rally in June this year and is organising another rally that people should have in their seats on the 15th of November. That is going to be a very important rally to get people not only from the inner suburbs but all over Melbourne too, to demonstrate the voice of the people. I think that's very important. And also, I think the grassroots campaigning has been critical. I don't think Moreland Council would have taken this position about the legal challenge if it wasn't for the grassroots community campaign. And we did do a lot of stalls, we organised that big rally, but we also need to go out and do it again because we've got this government advertising which is distorting things, and we have to counter that, and the only way you can counter that is by going out in the street and talking to people, because we can't counter it through the media because the owners of the media put whatever position they like. They're not necessarily going to put the people's viewpoint about this east-west link and the impact on public transport. Some people think that it's lost because the contracts are already signed, but I think we've heard from people tonight there's still a chance to stop it. But we can only stop it if we involve more people in the campaign, and it has to be grassroots. Yes, we have to do all the social media stuff and all of that. We also have to go out in the streets and talk to people face to face and answer people's questions, because people are fed so much rubbish, so many lies, there's so much manipulation. Because even if you look at Plan Melbourne, the great plan for Melbourne the state government brought out, they've got the big lines for the big tollways that they want to do. So they want to do east-west link, then they want to do north-east links for a big ring around the city. But there's no thick lines to indicate new serious public transport. So it indicates all of their announcements are just totally tokenistic. They don't really intend to build the public transport that they're banging on about in their advertisements. We need serious public transport in Melbourne, in the regional parts of Victoria, but we also need freight onto rail, because that's the other reason why this east-west link is being built. It's corporate welfare for Lend-Lease and the various construction companies, and it's also a handout for Lindsay Fox and the freight companies as well. So I urge people to get involved in the campaign. If you want to know, be in touch with the tunnel pickets, talk to Mike or me and we can give you the information. Come along to MCAT meetings, but I think Sue's going to talk about all of that. Thank you.